Hey there, Internet. I'm Jacob, and strategically placed to my right is...
Niall, and you are watching the Readiness Report. So Games Workshop has come out with something that is actually we're kind of excited about for the first time in a while, basically since the end times ended for Warhammer Fantasy.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a bit ago. It's the Horus Heresy Betrayal at Calth. So the rumor mills online have been talking about a 30k game for a while now, and the rumors were very much so substantiated by the fact that Forge World has been coming out with so much 30k stuff, old Space Marine armor, old Imperial tanks, old Predators and Land Raiders and things like that. All stuff that if you've been playing since Rogue Trader, you might actually still have the original kits for. But this is cool because it's plastic and it's not annoying resin to work with.
And it's not prohibitively expensive.
Right. So we got a copy here. We just got them in at our store. So we're going to open it up, take a look at what's inside. I'm excited. I've been playing Space Marine since 3rd edition Warhammer, or 3rd edition 40k. And I like the look of these Mark IV Space Marine armor. So
I'm excited because for the Emperor, or whatever.
Or the Emperor. So as you can see, we have the box here, so I'm going to pop this open and take a look at it. Box is actually pretty sturdy. It's like it's a board game. So it's a board game box, so the cardboard's kind of like a thicker box than like their miniature sets come in.
It's not the BattleTech box.
But as you can see, inside are multi-part plastic Space Marines. It's not really a board game. I don't think they actually were considering people playing this for the game. I think they knew people were just going to buy a bunch of Space Marines. So we have a bunch of multi-part plastic Space Marine sets. Your typical fashion where you have two halves of the torso, you have a bunch of heads and the backpacks, and there's a whole bunch of these sprues.
Plus rocket launchers.
Yes, plus every one of these sprues has a heavy bolter and a missile launcher, and a flamethrower and a plasma gun, and I think a plasma pistol or some sort of special... Oh, they have a combi bolter that you can choose the combied weapon on it.
Yeah.
So the front half of the bolter changes depending on which combi weapon you want.
Lots of stuff on there.
Lots of stuff. And they were nice enough to leave all the shoulder pads smooth instead of having raised emblems on them. Except for the old Horus Heresy shoulder bumps. But that way you can make them whichever legion you want. You're not forced into Word Bearers and Ultramarines. The heroes, so that's the Terminator sprue. It comes with a whole bunch of lightning claws and whatnot. I love the look of these old school storm bolters too. They're just really
like
neat.
Two guns taped together.
Yeah. So these are all pre-posed for you, but you do get to pick the different weapon combinations on their arms.
Yeah, there's 5 Terminators, 30 Space Marines, 2 Commanders, and the Dreadnought.
And a Dreadnought. So the Commanders are pre-posed, which is to be expected because of their crazy dynamic poses, but they're really cool looking. You don't get to choose the weapons for them. They come preloaded for you, but again, that's fine because they do look really cool. Now this is the Dreadnought. Old school Dreadnought. You do get to pick a weapon loadout on him, either the Assault Cannon or the Multi-Nulta, I believe. And then he has a Storm Bolter in the hand of the other arm.
Looks like an auto cannon too.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, it's an Assault Cannon. That's right. All the bases you need. The special dice. The special dice for playing the game, because
this game has its own specific dice system.
Yeah, because people are going to play this game and not just buy a bunch of Space Marines. And then damage cards and stat cards for playing the game.
All reasonable stuff.
And then the board. It's a hex-based game. You punch these out, and these fit together in different ways for the scenarios.
Yeah. So the fluff of the game is they're fighting underground on Calth.
Right. Calth's sun is super radioactive, and it's death to go out on the surface, basically. Yeah. So they're fighting in the tunnels underneath the planet.
Through the course of events, the sun is blown up.
Right. So there's the instruction book on how to put everything together. If you've put together Space Marine Tactical Squad boxes, and I mean, who hasn't?
I think you can handle it.
Yeah.
A transfer sheet.
A fairly sizable transfer sheet, and then, of course, the rule book for the game. The board game.
The board game. And then bags. Lots of bags.
Yes, lots of bags to keep all your stuff in. So that's the contents of the game. So we'll take a look at it and see what we think about the game itself. I'm personally just really excited for all of the Horus Heresy era Mark IV Space Marine armor.
Yeah, lots of Space Marines put together. There are not a billion pieces, though. I've had some bad experiences in the last couple of miniature kits I've picked up where it's like 15 pieces.
Well, even the
Ugh.
Yeah, the Age of Sigmar box is particularly bad about that.
I don't know. I hope that's not a trend, but it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, this box looks like it'll be pretty straightforward to go together. All right, so let's take a look at these rules.
Yeah.
Horus Heresy Betrayal of Calth, as a game itself, is more board gamey than a miniatures game. If you've played BattleTech and you understand, or HeroScape or those other hex-based games, you have an understanding for how movement works and things like that. And if you've played 40K, I mean, the shooting mechanics are pretty basic.
Stat mechanics.
Yeah, like if you understand the terminology and stuff, it's pretty easy to understand. The issue with the game is that it's a bunch of miniatures. It's multi-part plastic miniatures, so you're not going to get board gamers into it.
No.
And it's a little too board gamey for most 40K players to enjoy as the game itself. Most people
you were excited for miniatures.
Yeah, I just wanted the miniatures.
Yeah.
And I think that's honestly what most people are going to be getting it for, is the super cool Horus Heresy miniatures. The game itself, though, doesn't seem that bad, honestly, for a board game.
No, pretty easy. We read through it in like 10 minutes. I think we could get a game going pretty easy.
Yeah, the rules seem pretty straightforward, not too complicated. The rulebook has several scenarios that tell you how to set up those hex tiles in particular ways, what your objective in each scenario is, and all that good stuff.
Looks fun.
It looks like a fine game. Again, it's just board gamers aren't going to get into it because they're not going to want to deal with all these multi-part plastic miniatures.
Right.
Most 40K players, though, they'll like the
hex mats and
they'll like the miniatures. Most 40K players I don't see playing the game Betrayal at Calth. But that's kind of how it is. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, it's Space Hulk. You know, people actually played it for Space Hulk, but a lot of people took those Terminators and those Gene Stealers and put them in their 40K armies. They just pull them out for when they want to play Space Hulk.
Yeah.
And you know, Space Hulk I feel is a little
much more gamey.
Yeah, it's much more for the people who like 40K. And then Assassinorum suffers from a similar problem as this game, but the models are cool.
The models are gorgeous.
The board game is a little too board gamey for most 40K players, and those models are such a colossal pain for most
board
gamers. So it's, you know,
look at Imperial Assault. You get one piece plastic miniature that looks good out of the box. Boom.
Yeah,
done.
and exactly.
And
so
this, I don't. Yeah, they're.
And I feel GW knows what they're doing. They know they released this for the 40K players, and they know that the Space Marine players are going to want the cool Mark IV armor, and that's what they got it for.
Yeah, but it's important to note, I think, that the rules don't feel tacked on. They are a full set of rules.
Right.
And the game is full.
Yeah, it wasn't like the rules were an afterthought, and the textiles are really nice. They're really well done.
Yeah.
The game pieces are good. The dice are nice. The cards that come with it are an awkward size that you might find sleeves for if you want, but they're super awkward size cards, but the cards are done well. So overall, I mean, it's a decent game, but again, people are just going to get it for the miniatures, and the miniatures do look great. If you like that video, be sure to subscribe to this channel and check out our other videos on here. Next time we're going to be talking about Team Yankee, the new release coming out from Battlefront that we're actually kind of excited about. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. That way you can be up to date when we come out with new videos in the future. Bye. Every time I bring it up to people, I'm like, yeah, it's Paradise Lost and Power Armor. And they're like, what? And I explained to them, I was like, all right, tell me what if I'm describing the plot to Paradise Lost or the plot to the Horus Heresy. There's a worshipped god entity. It has a host of favored sons that each lead their own legion of holy warriors in crusades against evil. One of them is tempted by an evil force by being shown an image of himself being cast out, and he decides to act proactively and stop it before it happens, which ultimately results in his being cast out, where he takes a third of said holy warriors and rises up against the omnipotent entity. It is both Paradise Lost and Horus Heresy.